thought about that. That's strange. But anyway, to answer your question, every time I looked at the Earth there and wanted to have some sort of physiological thought or take some time, I always said to myself, we don't have time now. We got to get on the timeline. We got to do the job we've been sent here to do. And eventually I'll get back home and I'll have a little more time to think about it, which it actually occurred. And what I've thought about since then, Moon is a gray place, gray rocks, gray dust, black sky. And coming back to Earth, I remember landing, we landed in the Pacific Ocean, looking out and seeing the water blue and thinking, wow, that's beautiful. And it was blue, and looked up and the clouds were going by, and a big carrier was coming our way, and I thought, this is fantastic. And I thought, what's the big deal? We're in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, and I'm feeling great about the Earth. And that's the feeling I've had since then. I have liked the Earth a lot. I never complained about the weather. I'm just glad we had some. If we had it rain tonight, I hope it doesn't rain in the Cape tomorrow for you. But if we rains here, great. Snowstorm, that'd be wonderful. Sandstorm. I'm just glad to be here. Glad to be with all these people. I came back, I went down to the shopping mall, got an ice cream cone, just looked at the people. Because there wasn't anybody up there but the two of us, Pete and Dick was there in orbit, and we were together. 10 days, it was a great mission, but I'll tell you, as far as we know, from looking at all the telescopes since Galileo in, 1609 or something like that, from that time on, we've never seen a place that looked like the Earth. There's no place in the universe that we've ever seen that is beautiful as the place we get to live our life. We need to think about that every day. We've been blessed.
Well, when you look out of your, people say, how did the Earth look from the moon? And when you're standing on the moon, and when we went to the moon on Apollo 16, if you wanted to look at the Earth and you're wearing your pressure suit and you were standing out in the open, the moon was straight overhead, so the only way you could see it was tilt backwards and you'd fall on your back. So we really only looked at the moon through the window of the lunar module, which was an overhead window. When you're depressurized, you tilt your head and look out straight out. And you take your thumb and cover up the Earth. And you're 240,000 miles from the house. If that don't make you nervous, no, it's not. It's a great place, planet Earth is, that we got to look out for it. And it sure is beautiful, but when you can put your thumb over it and cover it up, and all you can see is the white of the clouds and the white of the clouds and the white of the atmosphere and the blue of the atmosphere, and you don't see the planet with the naked eye. You know you're a long way from the house, and you worry about all the batteries keeping you going. When we first went to the moon, we had 45, we were on the moon, and the fuel cells acted up. We had 45 minutes of battery power, which will get you about, it takes 2.5, 3 days to get to the moon, so you can see you're being in real trouble if you're down to your batteries. So we always put it, and after Apollo 13, we put the great big battery. So all the way back to the moon with a great big battery. It's pretty smart. They should have done that before Apollo 13. I just want to mention also that Lunney is the guy who really saved Apollo 13 because he really did a great job in that mission. I was in there in mission control when he got the people in the lunar module, got it all powered up. Not like in the movie at all. Had it all fixed and ready to go, and he saved it. He's a great flight director, and I thought he was always one of the best ones there was. And actually, I think he's the best one.
I'm afraid that's going to cost me, folks. Gene?
Most of the other flights, I had heard John say that again, landed in an area of the moon where the Earth truly was, at the zenith, straight up. Apollo 17, not only did we launch at night, but our landing site was in the northeast edge, not quite the rim, but the northeast edge of the moon, which put the Earth in the over the mountains in the southwestern sky. And the valley we landed in, about 20 miles long and about 5 miles wide, had mountains that were higher than the Grand Canyon is deep, surrounding us as we landed in that valley. And so coming down on the descent, which is 14 of the most exciting minutes a human being can spend, I had not only to contend with Glynn Lunney on the ground and telling me all these numbers and things and places, and Jack Schmidt barking out something I never did hear him. Looking up at these meters and these numbers, and I had the Earth to contend with. And I got to tell you, and it would, all the way down there, those 14 minutes, and all the time we're on the surface of the Earth was always in our view, always out there, low on the horizon above the mountains in the southwestern sky. And there are many, many moments that I was on the moon, like in a simulator. If you want to stop, you're tired, you want to get a cup of coffee, you made a mistake, you just hit the freeze button. You freeze, you stop time. But we had that other dimension of time out there that was our greatest asset, because we were there with our greatest enemy because we didn't have enough of it. And there were so many times, the descent being one of them, where I just wanted to press the stop button, hold, time out. Let's just take in this moment for a minute. But everything was so dynamic. Things kept going. Every second depended on the second before it. And it just kept going. And when you think of that in terms of some of the problems we had in the simulator, some of the things that Glynn and his team dug up out of the dungeons to prove that we couldn't land on the moon, we waited for those things to happen. Unfortunately, they didn't happen. But when I got, the memory I have of looking at the moon is by far the most significant one I have. And the first step I made on the moon had already been taken. It came to me that for the first time in my life, I was standing on something that was not Earth. You can climb the highest mountain or walk the depths of the deepest ocean on this planet of ours, and you're still on Earth. We stepped on something out there that was not Earth. And that was good, and that was fine. But we were on the moon over 3 days, and we stood in the middle of a paradox. We were in sunlight, surrounded by the blackest black that you can conceive in your mind. I didn't say darkness. I said blackness. And out there, and it was an infinite, three-dimensional blackness, something that we refer to as the infinity of time and space, the endlessness of it all. And it exists because we all saw it with our own eyes. That out there, three-dimensionally, dynamic, rotating on an axis you can't see, mysteriously, majestically, that must be there, was the Earth. And every few hours, you'd be seeing another part of the Earth. 12 hours, if you look at North and South America, 12 hours later, you've already passed Australia, Asia, Europe, and now you're looking at the entire continent of Africa. The paradox is we were standing in sunlight, looking at the Earth and all its beauty and all its splendor and all its colors, these guys already told you about, surrounded by a three-dimensional blackness. It was almost, if your hand were long enough, you could reach out, grab it, put it in the palm, and sort of bring it, for security purposes, just bring it close to home. But I remember, and I've thought about it a lot, because that's a question we get asked a lot. For me, science and technology got me to the moon. They put me on this big plateau out there, and then had no answers. Because when I look back at the Earth, as fragile, as beautiful, as small, dynamic, alive, too beautiful, I've always said, too beautiful to have happened by accident. The science and technology can no longer explain to me what I was seeing, and even better, what I was feeling at that moment in time. And it was something, it's probably the one single memory that I can could never erase from my mind. To me, and I tried to portray this in a chapter in my book, it was like if you can imagine sitting on God's front porch. No matter how you dress your God, or what name you call him, I think spiritually, not religiously. Sitting on God's front porch, looking back home at the small part of the universe which he created, at least you're a witness to at least a small part of the universe that he created. It's just overpowering. The earth is your identity with reality. John said that we're 250,000 miles away from the house. That's where your family is. That's where life is. That's where the past is. That's where the future is. That's everything you can feel and understand is back there. And that's something you have to deal with. And you hope, you come home and hope that there's something down deep in your subconscious that you appreciated or realized about that moment in space and time in your life that you weren't or didn't have the time enough to absorb consciously. But it is truly an overwhelming experience and an awe-inspiring sight. And Al's paintings probably come closer than anything to giving you that three-dimensional feeling of the earth itself surrounded by the endlessness of space and time, more so than those flat two-dimensional pictures that are hanging on your wall.
It's interesting, Gene. What we're hearing is to go all that way, you're captured by the vision of home, one way or another. Back home to the planet, getting back home to the house, as John says. Interesting thought. Just slightly different kind of questions. Alan, on your flight, we had some excitement on the launch. It turns out that we didn't actually pick the best day to launch on, and there was a giant lightning bolt come out. It seemed like it came out of the tail of the ship and came down to the ground, as if the ship were mad at us for putting it into that kind of weather. But why don't you tell people what it was like on board, Alan, during the ascent?
Well, Pete had said before we flew, he said, we'll have some problems on this flight, and it'll be something we've never thought of. And about 50 seconds into the flight, we were launching into a rainstorm. Now, we thought that was an okay idea, because we didn't, I don't know why, we didn't imagine we could be hit by lightning, because airplanes are hit by lightning all the time. It doesn't usually bother them because they're not grounded. But spaceships, when you're close to the ground, are by this ionized weight from your rocket exhaust. So we were just like a real tall lightning rod. So lightning hit us, turned off all three fuel cells is what it fundamentally did, which no one had ever thought would happen in any failure mode. That's why we had three. We never practiced it. We had more caution and warning signals than we'd ever seen in training. We prided ourselves, as all the crews do, of knowing what to do when those three lights come on. You switch to main bus B from A or something. You know, we knew all that. And these lights came on, and Pete, Dick, and I didn't have a slightest. But there is an old test pilot adage that if the airplane is going in the right direction, don't do too much too quick. At least it's going in the right place. Many pilots shut off the working engine in a hurry. So we didn't do much. We didn't know what to do. And Mission Control figured out. They knew more, knew about. We didn't know it. Lightning bolt at that time. And they recommended, told us to put the fuel cells back on. And I had the fuel. I was the electrician, essentially. And I thought, well, maybe I will, maybe I won't. Well, let's put one on and see if it stays, because I had no idea what was going on. One stayed, so I put on number B and C or whatever it was. And it worked okay. So we owe Mission Control. We owe Mission Control right there 50 seconds into the flight for a lot of help. And of course, that's true for all of us. It's all a team operation. It's all
Honest engine, were you scared?
Excuse me?
Honest engine, were you scared for a minute?
No, I I was just embarrassed that I didn't know what to do. I didn't know
We
what
saw
to do.
lightning from the ground, and we were scared.
Pete was cool. Pete was the guy that was the hero there. What happened was the first light, we got hit, but Pete felt that it was rotating much faster than the Saturn V could. In a split second, he decided not to abort, and he just stuck it out. And what had happened is the guidance system for the Saturn V, it had a triple redundancy, and the lightning had knocked out one of the systems, and it was voted out, and the other two were okay. Later on, we found out we had an average size lightning bolt. If we'd have had a bigger size lightning bolt, it might have tripped two. If it had, we would have had an automatic abort. So there was some bad luck to begin with, and some good luck as we went along. But Pete was the guy. Pete got eventually the Congressional Medal of Honor for space flight, and I always felt he got it for saving Skylab. And I always felt he earned it right there in the Apollo launch, but it was kind of an inside story, and nobody knows about it. We didn't want to talk about it too much because we had a lot of other Apollo films that needed to be done without a lot of fanfare. So he was a great commander, great astronaut.
And it had to have been pretty, despite what you said, Al, I'm with Gene, it had to be pretty scary to see all these caution warning lights, and the 8-ball, or the attitude indicator, is just spinning around, and everybody's kind of sitting there looking at it. We're saying, we're going up. So we'll stick with it. John, a lot of young people here. Why don't you talk a little bit about driving the lunar rover around on the surface?
Well, that sure was a lot of fun. We had a big landing place, and they want us to look at all these places, and the lunar rover, being able to drive it would really do good. And actually, Charlie and I worked on a rover, and I invented it. I'm sitting right next to Charlie, and his arm is just like this, so every time he moves his arm, he bumps my hand controller heading for these big rocks. So my whole conversation when I'm driving the rover is, Charlie, don't bump my arm. but it worked out okay, and we got up on a big hill, and then I turned around and looked down on this big hill, and it was about like going up that thing right there, right up the back of that thing, and I'm thinking, boy, how are we ever going to get this rover off this steep incline? But it worked okay. It was a lot of fun to drive it. And if we hadn't done it, we'd never been able to explore all the places we explored. Gene have been able to explore all the places they got to see on Apollo 17 rover. Took good care of us. And we also had defined how far you could go in the rover, and you wouldn't go any further than that because you had to be able to, when you were just about to run out of oxygen, you had to be able to walk back to the ship before you ran out of oxygen, because as everyone knows,
The young people want to see what they look like. They look like dune buggies. John, we awarded John the speed record. Gene got the distance record.
No, I got the speed record going.
I knew you would say that.
18. If any of you seen that, I know you've all seen that rover doing the Grand Prix and kicking up dust and spinning around. That's him right there. And then I got up there and knocked the fender off, and you know that 24-hour roadside assistance. It's not there.
AAA.
well, we got his fender fixed.
You did fix it, fine.
Yeah, we got him fix it with duct tape and lunar maps, which were about like this, and you fold them like this and put the duct tape down there and glue it on, and it keeps if you don't have the right rear fender, what it does is it keeps the dust up and it comes up, and nothing floats on the moon because there ain't no air, so the dust comes up and comes back down. It's in a big trajectory. They'll just get your suit so covered with dust you can't even believe it. And we proved all that on Apollo 16. That's why we want to fix your fender.
I found some use for those geology maps, and Jack Schmidt was in Rhine. We had used geology maps. You know what's amazing? It came in useful a lot of places. We did take duct tape. Now we couldn't tape. John figured this out. We couldn't put the tape on the maps outside because the tape wouldn't stick if it got any dust. So we had to do it inside. We took 4 of them. Had to do it inside. Took them out the next morning, and then took a couple clamps. This is what the folks on the ground did for us. They'd take your light clamps, took them out there, and we clamped them on what was left of the existing fender. It worked beautiful. I think that fender's now in the Smithsonian. Not the one I lost.
Well, let's see. Gene, you want to say anything more about the geology? And I mean, you took a geologist with you, and
well, you know, it was the first half. We were out, brought experiments up, and made everybody happy. But from then on, for the next 2.5 days on the surface of the moon, we became the Lewis and Clarks of our time, because we had a rover. We could go places we, as John said, we never could have gotten to. And we covered that valley from the South Mountains all the way across, went up on top of what you might call a dam, if you will. That if there were water there, I'm convinced this valley could have made one of those beautiful fishing lakes you've ever seen. And then all down the other side, I really felt like everything we were doing was being done for the first time. We were truly explorers. You know, does it sound too exciting to bring a rock back? Well, it depends on where the rock is and how you got to get to it, from what crater it came out of. And Alan painted a picture of a gigantic boulder, I don't know, close to 3 stories high and I don't know how wide. Actually, it was composed of 3 different boulders that we were able to explain a quick story. There was a flat area at the top of one of these boulders, and I reached up there. In the original picture of the boulders, I reached up there to a sample. So you bring it home, no longer telling how long that sample of mud or dust had been sitting up there. Came home, Alan decided to paint this gigantic boulder. It's not a square painting. I mean, it's a big painting. He painted his boulder, and the nice thing about it, the whole valley floor is over the top, surrounds this boulder. And if you look close enough, right off next to the tip of the boulder, you can see our lunar launcher out there, 1,000,000 miles away. It's there. And Alan loves to put the people who took the pictures that he started painting. Now he takes my daughter's initials, and my daughter and Alan's daughter, Amy, grew up together the whole time. And he said, well, how would you do it? He gave me a piece of paper, and I put TDC. So he went home, painted out my handprints, and put TDC in there. A little notation that said, Gene said he wished he would have. Tracy's initials in the sands of this boulder. I saved the taxpayers a lot of money, and Gene a trip back to the moon. Tracy's Rock, and from that time on, his tax liabilities went way up. That picture is now worth a lot of money. I will say this. There is a spot on the moon, if any of you have a chance to go back, right next to the rover, which I parked so we could get the lift off for the lunar module when we left. There are the initials TDC in the sand. And the sad part about that whole thing is I had given my camera back to Jack, and I didn't have a camera to take it. But they're there.
Yes. We'll go back. Thank you. I had one grandchild tell me that she was very hungry, so we are adjourned.